Okay, guys, welcome back. We're in part 2 of the Subject to Real Estate Investing Guide. Okay, first, if you haven't checked out the first video, that's very important that you guys go check out that first video. So we're going to link it right up here so that way you guys can go check that one out first. But now we're going to talk about why sellers should not sell to you. Okay, now this is kind of a topic that that most people are trying to understand, because they're trying to figure out, like, well, why would people sell you a house, and just give them, your payments? Like, why would they just say, hey, these payments are less than the average rent, I'm going to give you this payment, and now they got to go, live in a place where they have to rent and pay more. Like, why would somebody actually do that? I don't understand. I thought people wanted deductions, on their taxes. I thought people wanted the American dream to own a home. I'm just not understanding. They did all of this building up their credit just to pass me their payment. Who is the seller I'm looking for, and who's the seller I'm not looking for, and how will I know? What will they say to me, to help me recognize this is the seller that's willing to sell subject to versus the one who's not? Because not everybody is for you. Remember, in real estate investing, okay, we're looking for motivated sellers. So number one, they got to have motivation. They have to have some reason why they're selling. It has to be some kind of pain point there, so that way we can leverage. Okay, and then they have to be willing to do it on a quicker time frame. Okay, because typically, where we're gonna service the seller is convenience and time. That's why they're gonna choose us. Okay, so the seller that's not for you, the seller that should not sell their property to you subject to, okay, it's the person that has time. Okay, if they don't need to sell now, in 2 weeks, in less than 30 days, or else if I don't sell in 30 days, my house is going to get taken from me, or else if I don't sell in 30 days, I'm going to have to make 2 mortgage payments, or else, right? They should have a timeline, right? Because if they don't, this is not going to be the best strategy for them, because let's face it, they can, if they have time, they can actually just list the property with the realtor and get the funds that they need. Okay. Unless they don't have enough equity to where that actually works. Because when the house needs just a little bit of work, it's not all pretty and fancy. They just bought it within, the last year or 2, maybe 5. Okay. They don't have a lot of equity, and they still have to pay the commission cost out of the sale. Okay. Well, maybe that's a good seller for us. If they're going to have to sell it on the retail market and have to come out $1,000, $2,000 to sell it. Okay. Maybe subject to, it's going to be good for that seller. You see what I'm saying? Maybe if they have some kind of issue, judgment or second lien, that might be a reason for them. Now, but if they're, an 800 credit score, and then, the house is perfectly pretty, and they have a year to sell it, and that's probably not the right person for you. Okay. Now, once again, I'm going to debate myself and say, will sellers bring cash to the closing table in order to escape a house subject to? Yes. Yes, they will. So sometimes they will have some money, but what they need is motivation and a timeline. Motivation plus timeline equals an opportunity to set up this offer. Okay. You will not know if the seller is willing to sell their house to you via taking over their mortgage if you don't offer it. Okay. I'll typically first, always the same, when I'm qualifying a seller who wants to sell, number one, through the script, I'm going over intro rapport, condition of the house. Okay. And I'm spending more rapport. I'm building a relationship with them on the phone through rapport, finding commonness, between us, so that I can let them know I'm a real person. We can be friends through this transaction, and I'm really here to help you figure out the best solution. Okay. And then next is why they want to sell, which is your biggest leverage point. Okay. The reason why realtors, the reason why realtors make more money, for the seller, is because, they're kind of like they're like a bearing, they're like a bushing in between you and the seller. So the seller can actually have time to think, right? They don't have to make an emotional decision. They can, the realtor kind of pushes the buyer off so that way they can have time to really go through all of their thinking power to make the best decision in a slow fashion so they can get the highest price. But when you're going direct to seller, you can use sales tactics, a little suave and some sauce to be convincing enough to put hope for gain, fear of loss, right? I'd be, if you want to just, pay your mortgage off, what if I pay, what if I'm able to pay what you owe for the house? Would you consider allowing me to take over payments? You can add a little sales skills when you go directly to seller, to put this offer out there and to get the best conversions possible. Okay. The seller that you're not looking for. Okay. Number one, if they say, hey, we want to sell this house because we're looking for our next house to buy. Okay. You need to ask this seller some questions. Okay. And I say that because if they have this loan in their name and it stays in their name and they're going to go about buying their next house the traditional way by getting a loan, DTI, debt to income, is going to come in the play. Okay. So if they get a second loan and they've already been approved and the first house has to be paid off in order for their second loan to be approved, that's not the seller that you're looking for, because that seller, the mortgage can't stay in place on the first house. Now, does that mean you should just shy away from the seller? No, you should let them know. You should have an upfront conversation and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I know you said you're looking for your next house, to buy, and the cash offer wasn't necessarily right for you, but I think I can buy your house subject to. Now, your approval, do you think you would be okay with maybe not buying that house right now and buying it later on down the road if we were to do this option of me buying it by taking over your mortgage? If they say yes, then great. If they say no, then you have to let them know, well, this is not going to be the best strategy for you. And that transparency, that truth, that friend-like mentality, that abundance-like mentality is going to show through. That's going to let the seller know, whether this works out or not, that you have not your best interest at heart. Is really you actually are a business person. You're wise, you're strong. You're not just willing to take shortcuts just to get your way and snatch something from someone else, just because of your gain. That's super important that you relay that message. Okay. Now, once again, we have intro rapport in the phone call to the seller. We have condition rapport. We have why they want to sell, how soon they'll sell, and then the price. We always offer them cash because at the end of the day, that is a really great way, is a really convenient way. It's the best way for us to actually buy the property, from the seller, is cash, as is us paying for the closing costs. That's always the number one to-go offer. Okay. Next, if for whatever reason the cash offer doesn't work because of the price, okay, I go into a creative offer. If they don't have a mortgage, that is a seller financing offer, okay, or a lease option offer. If they have a mortgage, then I'm typically going straight for the subject to offer, okay, because there's a mortgage. We got to take it over now. We can give them some money outside of that, but we go straight for that. If they want to buy their next house, you got to let them know. If they want to buy you gotta let them know. The last thing you want is to be in this subject to deal for a year. They go to apply for their new house like they told you, okay? And then for whatever reason, they can't get it because of your DTI, okay? Because of their DTI. They literally have the right to sue you because you told them false information, okay? So disclose. Okay, we're going to get to the paperwork part, on the third video of the paperwork that you need to have and little clauses like that, the little disclosure clauses that you need to have, so that way you can mitigate those kind of risks. Okay, now pause right here. You are a real estate investor. Okay, this strategy and every other investing strategy comes with risk. Okay, so when you are out here practicing, I want you to watch videos like this. I want you to take notes, and I want you to literally learn and apply. Okay, literally learning is going to give you more confidence. applying is going to give you the experience, and then we mix that up together, and then we get perfection. Okay, we get daily habits. The seller's credit could be ruined. Okay, this is sitting right there in the seller's brain. When you say, "Hey, I want to buy your house by taking over payments," right there, the seller's thinking about that. Oh my gosh, my credit could be ruined. Okay. The way I pitch it to the seller is, hey, I have a program that allows us to catch up your mortgage payments. And over time, we help you increase your credit by taking over your monthly mortgage payments. Okay. So I can say that because, I know that I put all of our subject twos on auto draft, right? I know that our bankroll, that our flips, that our cash flow is sustainable enough to keep that up. But for you guys, who are just getting starting at it, you need to either, number one, make sure you have some reserves. Number two, make sure you have some backing. Or number three, you have an exit strategy that can help you get out of it to protect yourself in that. Okay. If credit is a concern for that seller, the only thing you can do is show testimonials to show, hey, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. Okay. Use the right paperwork to protect yourself and the seller. Okay. And build trust with the seller and allow them to make the decision for themselves that they want to do this, and then document them saying, get a testimonial from them at closing saying that they chose this option, that they knew about the cash offer first, that they said that this was the best solution for them because they had to move down to Alabama. Now they got a rent down here that's $1,200. They got a mortgage up here that's $1,200, and they just can't do it anymore. And Buy Tried Homes coming in to do this for them is saving their life. This is the best scenario right now for me. Get that on documentation because, okay, remember that this seller that's selling you their house subject to, they purchased this house less than 5 years ago. Okay. They were just on, Instagram, Facebook saying, I just bought my first house. Right. And now they've come up with some kind of hardship. You have to hold on to this house for another 20 years. Okay. They had it for 5 years. So 25 years. So a lot of things can change over time. So you need to make sure you're making that paper work. Okay. Now, another seller that is not for you, okay? Another seller that is not for you is the seller who does not want to let go of control, okay? I say that because I have the logins to all of the accounts that we have, with these subject to properties. I get all of the mail from the bank statements. I get all of the text notifications. I get the emails. I get everything. Okay. I talk to the bank. The bank knows who I am. Hey, Mr. Belcher, you here to make another payment today? I'm at state employees coming through the drive-through line, making my payment. They say, hey, Sawan, you getting close to paying this thing off? I said, I know, man. I'm gonna do a video on it on Instagram. So the seller that doesn't want to let go of control, that's not the seller for you. The seller that needs your help, that is trying to come out of a forbearance situation, needs your help, right? They've let this forbearance thing, for this whole COVID thing, they let us believe that they didn't have to make a payment for 12 months. Now $1,000 a month for the last 12 months. They got to catch up $12,000 in payments, or the house is going to go into foreclosure. Those people need your help. Okay. That's the right seller for you. Motivation and time. It's the seller that you're looking for. Okay. Motivation and time. Okay. Now I'm going to invite you to the next video. Okay. The next one, we're going to talk about the secrets that nobody takes, like literally the things that I had to pay $5,000 to learn. We're going to talk about in this next video. Okay. So I want you to, once again, if you need to go back and review this video, go back. There were some great things here about who we're actually looking for. Okay. And who is right to do a deal with. Right. And we understand some of the risks that come along with doing a deal like this. So look, let's pop over in the third video together and go over some of these subject to real estate investing secrets.